Hey everyone, welcome back to Into Programming. Today we're going to be covering how to make a very basic game within Scratch, as well as topics such as changing stuff, touching other objects within the game, as well as creating a scoring system for using variables, as well as a game over screen. We're also going to be covering blocks such as random and the show and hide. So for changing things, you can change the background of the game either by uploading your own background or using one of the pre-made backgrounds within Scratch. For this video, I'm going to be using blue sky because why not? You can also change the sprites in the game either by uploading a sprite similar to background, or you can use one of the pre-made sprites within Scratch. I'm going to be using a bird because I used sky for the previous background. So now you can have multiple sprites within the game. You can also change the size of the sprite by the size number here. Increasing it would make it larger, while decreasing it would respectively make it smaller. I'm going to be using 60. Now, if this is going to represent the player in our game, we will have to have ways for this player to move. You probably already know how to make the player move using loops and if key is pressed. Basically, if key is pressed, then if key is pressed, it's going to move in a certain direction. Additionally, we're going to have some way to keep track of time within the game. Here, I've already made a variable named time, which is going to keep track of time. We can start by setting a variable called time to 30 seconds. That's going to be shown in the top left up corner of the screen when you make it. You can also have a variable called score that can keep track of score that will later be accumulated within the game. We can set that to 0. Basically, to make a variable, you just hit make variables and you type in whatever you want here. Now, to keep track of time, we're going to use a repeat until loop. What this does basically is it repeats the sequence of the game until whatever condition here is reached. Since we're using time, we will gonna have to check if time equals 0. So basically, you just put time here, and if this ever equals 0, it's going to break out of this loop. While inside the loop, you're going to have to wait to represent every second that passes by. And every second that passes by, time is going to have to go down by 1, since time represents exactly what it's called. So in order to do that, you just change this variable time by -1, which basically just subtracts 1 for the game. When this is out of the loop, the game is going to be over. So in order for me to represent game over, I'm basically just going to have the bird say game over. And there. So if I were to play this entire thing for 30 seconds, and at the end, when time runs out, the game would be over. We can also add another sprite to represent a way for us to accumulate points. Since we're a bird, I'm going to be using this butterfly, which will give us a way to change our score. So first thing with the butterfly is going to have to give it a way for it to move randomly. So in order to initiate the movement of this butterfly, we're going to have the butterfly be able to move around. In order to do that, we're going to have this butterfly point in a random direction when it spawns. For that, we're going to have point in direction, and we can have that be a random direction from 0 to 360. Which basically gives us a full spectrum of rotation and whatnot. Once it spawns, it's going to have to appear on the screen, which we can use with the show block. Basically what that does is just have the whatever it's in appear. we can, since this is also affected by the time, we're going to have to put a timer in here as well, detects when the time has run out. So while the time hasn't run out, it's going to have to move randomly. For that, we can just make it move a number of steps, say 5, and if it's on the edge, then we can just have it bounce in whatever direction. Now, for the player to interact with this butterfly, we can have an if statement, basically stating that when the player, or the dove in this case, is touching the butterfly, it will disappear and reappear later, while also increasing the player's score. So if this is touching the dove, it will change the score by 5 and also hide itself, so the player can't continue to accumulate score because of it. We're also going to have it have a new spawn point. That's what I meant. By having it pick a new direction to point in and going to a random position on this map. Now, after that, we can have it wait 1 second and reappear again, which would then allow the player to increase their points more. Now, if we run this, you're going to see that the butterfly is going to move, and it's also going to increase the score seen here whenever we touch it. Now, since this butterfly is a bit big, we can change the size to something smaller so it's harder for the player to get the butterfly. If I were to run this to the end, you would notice that it wouldn't end properly. You would still be able to move around and increase your score. In order to prevent this, we're going to only have to allow this to run within the time limit. So basically, we get rid of this, and we copy this repeat until block over. So the player and the butterfly can only move while within the time limit. So with this, if we were to play this game all the way through, the game would stop once the time has run out. So if I were to play this for 30 seconds, you know what, I'm gonna change this so I don't have to play it as long. If I were to play this, you can now increase your score as shown, but when the time runs out, you can't move anymore and it says game over. That's it for this video. Bye.